Born February 27, 1897 in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Anderson was the oldest of three girls. At the age of 6, she became a choir member at the Union Baptist Church. Her father died when she was 12, leaving her mother to raise her and her sisters. Anderson displayed vocal talent as a child, but her family couldn't afford to pay for formal training. Members of her church congregation raised enough money, about $500, to pay for Anderson to train under Giuseppe Bohetti, a respected voice teacher. Over her 2 years of studying with Bohetti, Anderson won a chance to sing at the Robeson Stadium in New York. Other opportunities soon followed. In 1928, she performed at Carnegie Hall for the first time, and eventually embarked on a tour through Europe thanks to a Julius Rosenwald scholarship. By the late 1930s, Anderson's voice had made her famous on both sides of the Atlantic. She was invited by President Roosevelt and his wife Eleanor to perform at the White House. She was the first African American ever to receive this honor. Despite Anderson's success, not all of America was ready to receive her talent. In 1939, her manager tried to set up a performance for her at Washington, D.C.'s Constitutional Hall. But the owners of the hall, the Daughters of the American Revolution, informed Anderson and her manager that no dates were available. The real reason for turning Anderson away lay in a policy put in place by the DAR that committed the hall to being a place strictly for white performers. An uproar ensued, led in part by Eleanor Roosevelt, who invited Anderson to perform instead at the Lincoln Memorial on Easter Sunday in front of a crowd of more than 75,000 people. Anderson offered up a riveting performance that was broadcasted live for millions of radio listeners. In 1955, she became the first African American to perform as a member of the New York Metropolitan Opera. In 1961, she performed the national anthem at President John F. Kennedy's inauguration. 2 years later, Kennedy honored her with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Her final years were spent in Portland, Oregon, where she'd moved in with her nephew. She died there of natural causes on April 8, 1993. Paul Robeson was born on April 9, 1898 in Princeton, New Jersey. Robeson's mother died from a fire when he was 6, and his father moved the family to Somerville, where he excelled in academics and sang in church. When he was 17, Robeson earned a scholarship to attend Rutgers University, the third African American to do so, and became one of the institution's most stellar students. He received top honors for his debate and oratory skills, won 15 letters in 4 varsity sports. He was also elected Phi Beta Kappa and became his class valedictorian. From 1920 to 1923, Robeson earned a degree from Columbia University's law school, teaching Latin and playing pro football on the weekends to pay tuition. In 1921, he married journalist Eslinda Gould. The two were married for more than 40 years and have a son named Paul Robeson Jr. Robeson briefly worked as a lawyer in 1923, but left after encountering severe racism at his firm. With the encouragement of his wife, who would become his manager, he turned fully to the stage. He established both a singing and film career. In 1924, Robeson played the lead in the production of All God's Children Got Wings. Robeson also entered film when he starred in 1925's Body and Soul. Robeson continued to make waves in London in 1928 with his star turn on stage in Showboat, where he brought the house down with Old Man River, a song destined to become his signature tune. His next big screen feature was 1930's Borderline. He was also in the 1933 movie remake of The Emperor Jones and would be featured in 6 British films over the next few years. His last movie would be the star-studded Hollywood production Tales of Manhattan. Robeson regularly spoke out against racial injustice and was involved in world politics. He supported Pan-Africanism, sang for Loyalist soldiers during Spain's Civil War, took part in anti-Nazi demonstrations, and performed for Allied forces during World War II. He also visited the Soviet Union several times during the mid-1930s. After his wife's death in 1965, Robeson lived with his sister. Robeson died from a stroke on January 23, 1976 at the age of 77 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In recent years, some efforts have been made by various industries to recognize Robeson's legacy. Several biographies have been written on the artist, including Martin Duberman's well-received work, Paul Robeson, a Biography. In 2007, Criterion released Paul Robeson, Portraits of the Artist, which is a box set containing several of his films, as well as a documentary and a booklet on his life.